My beloved brothers and sisters, one of the most powerful tools Allah has given us is the ability to speak. But with this power comes responsibility. And sometimes the most powerful thing you can do is to remain silent. There are moments in life where our silence speaks louder than our words. Times when instead of reacting in haste, instead of rushing to defend ourselves or trying to explain every detail, if we just stay silent with patience and trust in Allah, things begin to fall into place on their own. You see, silence is not weakness. Silence is wisdom. The Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, said, "Whoever believes in Allah and the last day should speak good or remain silent." That means if what you're about to say won't benefit you or the listener, remain silent. Your silence might save you from regret. It might protect the heart. It might even elevate your status in the sight of Allah. When people misunderstand you, slander you, or try to provoke you, you don't have to respond to everything. You don't need to chase every rumor or justify yourself at every turn. Stay silent, stay sincere, and let Allah handle what you cannot control. He is Al-Adl, the most just. He will bring clarity when the time is right, and sometimes silence is the best response in moments of anger. You may say something in 1 second that you regret for a lifetime. So pause, breathe, stay silent. Let your heart settle before your tongue moves. Silence is not just the absence of words, it's the presence of calm. It's the space where your thoughts realign, where your connection with Allah deepens. When you stop talking so much, you start listening more, not just to others, but to your soul, to the Quran, to the whispers of guidance that only silence can make clear. My brothers and sisters, don't rush, don't panic, don't force what is meant to unfold on its own. Trust the process. Stay silent when needed. Let your actions speak. Let your patience show. Because when your heart is in the right place and your tongue is under control, everything will come naturally. Just give it time and let Allah take care of the rest. Silence is wisdom, not weakness. This is a reality that many people misunderstand in today's world. We live in a time where being loud, being vocal, and being the first to speak is often praised. People rush to give their opinions, comment on every matter, and speak even when they have very little knowledge. But true wisdom lies in knowing when to remain silent. When we study the lives of the prophets and the righteous, we see that silence was not a sign of fear or helplessness. It was a sign of strength. They spoke when necessary, and they stayed silent when speech could cause harm or misunderstanding. Silence in such moments reflects deep inner strength and reliance upon Allah. It shows that a person does not feel the need to prove themselves to people because they trust that Allah knows the truth. There are moments when your silence is more powerful than 1,000 words. When someone tries to provoke you, when someone insults you, when false accusations are thrown your way, your silence, if maintained with dignity and patience, becomes a shield. It protects your character. It prevents you from saying something you might regret. It teaches you the beauty of self-control. A person of wisdom knows that words carry weight. Once something is spoken, it cannot be taken back. The wounds caused by the tongue can be deeper than the wounds caused by a sword. And so the wise man or woman does not speak simply to be heard. They weigh their words before they speak. They ask themselves, will this bring benefit? Will this please Allah? Will this solve the problem or make it worse? And if the answer is not clear, they choose silence. Silence is not about being passive. It's about being selective. It's about understanding the power of words and choosing to use that power responsibly. It's about stepping back from the noise of the world and creating space for reflection, for sincerity, for humility. Sometimes the loudest voice in the room is not the wisest. Sometimes the one who sits quietly and listens is the one who understands the most. When you're silent, you give yourself time to think, to reflect, and to respond with clarity instead of emotion. You train your soul to be calm. You protect your relationships. How many friendships, how many families have been broken because of a few words spoken in anger or arrogance? How many hearts have been hurt because someone could not stay silent for a moment? Silence gives you control over your thoughts, control over your emotions, control over your outcomes. It allows you to observe, to learn, and to avoid mistakes. And in that control there is wisdom. A wise person knows that reacting to everything, responding to every insult, defending every small misunderstanding is not only exhausting but also unnecessary. Silence in these cases is a sign of maturity and trust in Allah's justice. Even in worship, silence has a role. In the Quran, when Maryam, peace be upon her, was told to remain silent after the miraculous birth of Isa, peace be upon him, it wasn't because she had no answer. It was because her silence was part of a divine plan. Allah would speak on her behalf. This teaches us that sometimes silence is not just wisdom, it is obedience to Allah. It is a form of submission and tawakkul, trusting that the truth will come out at the right time, and not everything needs to be defended by you personally. People often think that by staying silent they are losing the argument, but the believer knows that not every argument needs to be won with words. Sometimes you win by walking away. Sometimes you win by protecting your peace. You win by letting go of your ego. And that kind of victory is far greater than winning a debate. The silent person is often underestimated. But silence does not mean ignorance. It does not mean weakness. It means a person is thinking, reflecting, prioritizing what truly matters. It means they are more focused on pleasing Allah than pleasing people. It means they understand that every word will be recorded and every sentence has a consequence. Not every situation requires a response. This is a principle that brings peace to the heart and clarity to the mind. In a world that encourages instant reactions and quick replies, stepping back and choosing not to respond can feel unnatural at first, but it is one of the greatest forms of self-discipline a believer can practice. There are countless moments in life where silence or non-response is the best answer. It protects your dignity, it maintains your inner peace, and it places your trust where it belongs, in Allah, not in the opinions of people. When someone wrongs you, insults you, or spreads falsehood about you, the natural instinct might be to defend yourself immediately. You might feel a strong urge to explain your side, to prove your innocence, to make things clear. But in reality, not every accusation or misunderstanding needs to be answered. When you understand that Allah knows the truth and that His judgment is all that matters, the need to respond to every human opinion fades away. You become more focused on maintaining your relationship with Allah than maintaining your image in front of people. Choosing not to respond does not mean you're accepting wrongdoing. It means you're rising above it. It means you're refusing to get dragged into arguments that waste your time and drain your energy. Sometimes responding only adds fuel to the fire. It escalates the situation. It opens the door for more back and forth, more confusion, more emotion, and in that chaos, you lose focus on what truly matters. But when you remain calm and hold your tongue, you keep your heart steady, you keep your dignity intact, you leave room for Allah to handle the matter in a way that is far better than what you could do with your own words. Not responding also teaches humility. It reminds you that you are not responsible for correcting every wrong, fixing every misunderstanding, or making everyone see things your way. You begin to realize that people will always have something to say. No matter what you do, someone will criticize, someone will question your intentions, someone will misunderstand. If you tried to respond to every comment, you would exhaust yourself. You would waste your time chasing the approval of people, when your real goal should be the approval of your Lord. There is also wisdom in observing before responding. Sometimes a person says something out of anger, out of stress, or without thinking. If you wait, if you give them time, the situation might resolve itself. But if you react instantly, the damage might grow. You might say something hurtful in return. You might regret your reaction later. Holding back allows you to respond with wisdom, not emotion. It gives you control over the outcome. It shows maturity. The Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, was a master of silence and selective response. He did not react to every insult. He did not argue with every critic. When people mocked him, spread lies and tried to provoke him, he often chose silence, not because he was weak, but because he was focused on his mission. He was too wise to get distracted by every small challenge. This is a powerful example for us that sometimes silence and restraint are greater than any verbal defense. Social media has made this even more difficult today. People feel the need to respond to every post, every comment, every criticism. But wisdom teaches us that you don't have to attend every argument you're invited to. You don't need to prove your worth to anyone. If you know your truth and you are sincere with Allah, that is enough. Let your character speak. Let your actions speak. Time often reveals the truth better than words ever could. Even in daily life, not every conversation needs your input. Sometimes people speak just to vent. Sometimes they speak out of pain. Responding quickly might shut them down or make things worse. But listening silently, or even walking away when the situation is not beneficial, is a sign of strength. It shows you value your peace, you know your priorities. Being selective in response is not about arrogance or indifference. It's about wisdom, focus, and protecting your soul. You begin to understand that your energy is precious, your time is valuable, and your tongue is a trust. Not everything deserves your reaction, and not every moment is meant for you to speak. Control your tongue, especially in anger. This is one of the most difficult yet most essential forms of discipline a believer can develop. The tongue, though small in size, carries the power to heal or to destroy, to bring people together or to tear them apart. When a person is overcome with anger, the tongue becomes sharp, reckless, and dangerous. Words pour out without thought, and once they are spoken, they cannot be taken back. This is why mastering the tongue, especially in moments of intense emotion, is a sign of true strength and wisdom. Anger is a natural human emotion. Even the prophets felt anger, but what differentiates a wise believer from others is how they manage that anger. The Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, taught us that true strength is not in overpowering others, but in controlling oneself during a moment of anger. It is in that heated moment when your blood is boiling, your heart is racing, and your mind is clouded, that your character is truly tested. If you can keep your tongue in check at that time, you are among the strongest of people. When someone hurts you or wrongs you, the urge to retaliate with harsh words is strong. You feel that by speaking back, you will regain your dignity or restore justice. But in reality, angry words rarely solve problems. Instead, they escalate the situation. They push people away. They ignite more anger and leave behind damage that can take years to repair. Sometimes one sentence said in anger can destroy a relationship that took a lifetime to build. It can leave scars on hearts that never fully heal. That is the power of the tongue when it is not controlled. In anger, the tongue speaks faster than the mind can think. It says things you don't truly mean. It exaggerates. It offends. It curses. It humiliates. And after the moment passes, regret begins to sink in. You wish you could go back and undo what was said, but the words have already reached the ears, the hearts, and the minds of others. That's why the best protection is to remain silent when anger rises, to train yourself to pause, to breathe, to remember Allah before speaking. There is wisdom in staying silent when emotions are high. That silence is not weakness. It is a form of protection. It saves you from sin. It gives you time to cool down. It prevents shaitan from using your tongue against you. Shaitan thrives in moments of anger. He whispers, he fuels the fire, and he makes you think that speaking your mind will bring relief. But in truth, speaking in anger often brings more pain, more regret, and more consequences. The companions of the Prophet, peace be upon him, were trained in this discipline. They were not people who never felt anger, but they were people who knew how to manage it. They feared their tongues. They used to say that nothing deserves a longer prison than the tongue. They would think deeply before speaking. They would remain silent even when they were right, if they felt their words would cause harm. One of the most common regrets people express is something they said while angry. Harsh words to a parent, a spouse, a sibling, a friend. Words that may have ended marriages, broken homes, and destroyed peace. All because in a moment of anger, the tongue was not restrained. This is why the Prophet emphasized silence, especially during anger. He advised us to remain seated if we are standing, to lie down if we are seated, to make wudu, to walk away. All these actions help cool the fire of anger and give us space to think before we speak. In moments of anger, remind yourself that Allah is watching. Every word you say is being recorded. Every sentence carries weight. Will these words bring you closer to Jannah, or will they pull you toward regret? Will they heal or will they hurt? The tongue is a tool, and in anger, it must be treated like a weapon. Dangerous if not controlled, deadly if used recklessly. Learning to control your tongue in anger is a journey. It requires awareness, practice, and patience, but it is one of the most rewarding acts of self-control. It earns you respect in the eyes of people, but more importantly, it earns you reward with Allah. It brings peace to your soul. It protects your relationships. It keeps your heart clean. When you master your tongue, especially when you're angry, you master one of the most powerful parts of yourself. Trust Allah. Everything unfolds in its time. This is a principle that brings comfort to the heart and clarity to the soul. Life is filled with moments of waiting, uncertainty, and unanswered prayers. There are times when you feel stuck, when you've done everything you can, and yet things don't move the way you hoped. In those moments, the whisper of disappointment can become loud, and you begin to question why things aren't happening, why the doors remain closed, or why others seem to move ahead while you remain in the same place. But the heart that trusts in Allah knows that delay is not denial, and silence is not neglect. It is divine wisdom unfolding at the perfect pace. Allah is never late. He is never unaware. He is Al-Alim, the all-knowing, and Al-Hakim, the most wise. Every second of your life is under His perfect control. Nothing escapes His knowledge. What feels like a delay to you is actually a preparation. What feels like a setback is part of a greater plot that your limited understanding cannot yet see. Trusting Allah means understanding that there is a reason behind every pause, every obstacle, and every change of direction. It means believing that if something is written for you, it will reach you even if the entire world tries to stop it. And if something is not written for you, no amount of effort will make it yours. There is a kind of peace that comes from truly believing in Allah's timing. It allows you to breathe even when you don't have answers. It teaches you patience without frustration. It gives you the strength to carry on, knowing that what's meant for you is being prepared while you are being prepared for it. Sometimes the delay is not in the blessing, but in your readiness to receive it. Allah may be holding something back because He wants to teach you a lesson, build your strength, correct your path, or purify your intention. His timing is never random. It is always full of purpose. When you rush what Allah is delaying, you may end up harming yourself. You may force a situation that was not yet meant to happen, and later realize that your impatience led you into something you weren't ready for. Trusting Allah is not passive waiting. It's active reliance. It's doing your part, putting in your effort, and then leaving the outcome to the one who sees what you do not. It's praying sincerely, trying your best, and then resting your heart in the certainty that whatever happens will be good for you, even if you don't understand it right now. Sometimes you make a dua and expect an immediate answer. You think that if your heart is sincere and your need is urgent, the response should come instantly. But the way Allah response is not always how you imagine. Sometimes the answer is yes, sometimes it is no, and sometimes it is not yet, and all three are answers filled with mercy. A delay may be protecting you from something harmful. A redirection may be leading you to something better. Allah sees the full picture. You only see a piece. Trusting Him means accepting that your vision is limited, that His wisdom is perfect. Look at the stories in the Quran. Look at Prophet Yusuf, who was thrown into a well, sold into slavery, imprisoned unjustly, and then finally made a leader. Each step took years. Each tribe had a purpose.
At every stage he could have questioned why, but he trusted Allah, and in the end, everything unfolded in a way more beautiful than he could have planned. Look at Prophet Musa, who was placed in a basket as a baby, separated from his mother, raised by his enemy, and then later chosen by Allah to confront the Pharaoh. None of these events were accidental. All of them were timed with divine precision. That same Lord who planned for them is planning for you. When things don't happen as quickly as you want, remember that your story is still unfolding. Your journey is still in motion. The doors that are closed now may open tomorrow. The hardship you're facing may turn into ease when you least expect it. Keep moving forward with hope in your heart. Keep praying, keep striving, and keep trusting that Allah's plan is greater than yours. The timing you wish for may not be the timing that is best for you, but Allah's timing is always perfect. What's written for you will reach you. What's delayed for you has wisdom behind it, and what you've entrusted to Allah